Which Hawaiian island is better? I'm Chris, this is Yellow Productions, and that's what we're going to be talking about, Maui or Kauai. This is a live stream, so if you're tuned in, make sure to ask questions. If you're watching the archive, well, make sure to hit that subscribe button so you get notifications of future live streams. So I'm going to be comparing these two Hawaiian islands in 10 different areas, but let me tell you, whatever Hawaiian island you pick, I'm sure will be good. I am fresh back from Kauai. I just got back about 3 weeks ago, so I'm wearing my fancy Hawaiian shirt, and I've been in Maui about twice in the last year. So these two islands are close in my mind. That's why I wanted to do this live stream. But before I get into the 10 different areas, I just want to talk about some generalities between the two islands that I observed. So we'll start with Maui. Maui is an island that has wide appeal and it's accessible. And it's a cross between Oahu and Kauai. Well, that's funny that I described it as a cross between an island I haven't even talked about, but I'll get more into that. But Oahu is a big city and Kauai much less big. Maui, it is the quintessential honeymooners island that is often when people go to Maui. Maui has fancy restaurants, beachfront hotels, big resorts, and lovely sceneries. Some of the cons about Maui, people can often say Maui is too touristy and too traffic congested. But a pro to Maui being too touristy is that, well, there's more flights because it is more touristy, which means that flights may be cheaper. On to the next island, Kauai. Let me talk about Kauai in general. Kauai is rural and rugged. It is lush, beautiful, and fairly vacant. The nature in Kauai is more exotic. If you're going to Kauai, you can spend time wandering in the jungle, finding places to swim, adventure, and quiet. It is a place to go if you definitely want to get away from people. I think there's more roosters and chickens on Kauai almost than there are people. It is local and laid back, but I will tell you, much of Kauai's treasures require a bit of a hunt. You might have to hike there, you might have to kayak there, you might have to camp there. Kauai is overall much less touristy. But the cons about Kauai is the beaches, they are not as good as in Maui. They are not as good for swimming, or they're hard to get to. The really good beaches, there are good ones. It's just going to take you time to get there. And Kauai also doesn't have a lot of nightlife. The island kind of shuts down at night. And so also Kauai, because it's less touristy, has direct flights. But again, as I said, if you're going to Hawaii, you can't go wrong with either islands. And as I said, I'll be comparing in 10 different areas. But first, let me go to some of the comments on the live stream, and then we'll hit comment 1. Brandon says, aloha, Chris. Brandon, aloha. Welcome. David M, evening. Jake McShane, good evening. David M says, he can save me some time in this whole discussion. It is about Kauai. That is the best. And, you know, that's in fact why I wanted to do this live stream, this video, because if you look on travel forums and people will say, which Hawaiian island is best? And often responses come back in 1 sentence, 2 sentence. I'll save you some time, but I'm going to dive in deep because I think the different islands are better for different people. Kohana Ohana says hi from Kauai. So Kohana Ohana, thank you for joining. And if you have some additions on why Kauai is better or worse for certain areas, then please chime in and let me know. SoCal Seth says Maui is kind of like half the stuff, twice the price versus Oahu. That's a good description too. Tis My Name is on, says going to Maui in 2 days. And Kohana Ohana says next time I'm going to Hawaii, I should look them up to find other stuff. So I will do that. All right, let's go on to number 1. And for those of you who watch my live streams a lot, you've often seen me holding these things, but now I have this Live Long and Prosper Star Trek holder, so I'm going to go ahead and toss number 1 right in there. And I do this so that if you're watching the archive and you're looking for a particular section in the description, you'll see I've got all the different areas that I talk about, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, and so you could scrub through this long video if you want to find another section. That's why it's going to be on screen all the time. So the first different area I'm going to talk about are beaches, and so we'll start with Maui. And let me tell you, first of all, I am a beach lover. I grew up in San Diego in Southern California, being around the beach all the time, so that is one of the reasons why I go to Hawaii. And Maui, I think, has some of the best beaches in Hawaii. In fact, not just me, but the beaches in Wailea, which is on the south side of Maui, they've been voted some of the best in the entire United States by a number of travel shows, the Travel Channel. The beaches there have nice sandy bottoms in Wailea. They have easy access. The hotels are right beachfront. They have good parking lots. They have great snorkeling in Maui. Also in Black Rock, on the kind of the other side, by Lahaina, and Maui overall has calmer water, so I think it has better snorkeling than Kauai does. Also, Maui has a beach called Big Beach. It's beautiful. It's this big sandy beach. That's not to say that Kauai, again, doesn't have big sandy beaches. Those are on the Nepali coast. You're going to have to walk there to get to them. So overall, I would say the swimming is better in Maui. So now let's talk about Kauai. And actually, one of the videos I'm going to have coming out just this Friday is all about beaches in Kauai, titled The Best Beaches in Kauai, but in particular beaches that are sandy and accessible, because Kauai actually has very few sandy accessible beaches, or it's very long hikes to the really good ones. Many of Kauai's beaches, particularly the ones near the resorts, the beaches are choppy, rocky, windy, and they have big waves. And so with that, often not good with swimming. I recently stayed at the Hyatt in Kauai, and that was a really disappointing part of it. If you watched my video on that hotel, was the beach right in front. Almost couldn't swim out it. You know, there was one about 5 minutes away, but it's, then you have to drive and get your car. It's, you know, I like not having to hike to the beach. I like being in my hotel, taking an elevator down to the sand. I mean, I guess that's why I'm paying a big expensive rate to stay in a hotel. All right. So we'll go to the comments, and then I'll go to number 2. SoCal Seth says he's going to Kauai in January, and Kohana Ohana says they love my Japan videos. Awesome, thank you. SoCal Seth says will do. Brandon Torres says same here, I love going to the beach. And SoCal Seth doesn't love beaches, but says beaches love him. So I think that's awesome. Ro Kaz says, good evening. I'm afraid of big waves at the beach, so Maui it is for me. Yeah, Ro Kaz, I think Maui definitely better swimming smaller waves, particularly in Wailea. If you're going to Maui, I can't stress that enough. I think Wailea is one of the best beach areas as part of Maui. All right, let's go on to number 2, the second area that I'll be contrasting and comparing these two islands, there we go, is about food. And so food, in addition to liking beaches, I like food. I certainly consider myself a foodie. For those of you who are regular subscribers to Yellow Productions, you know one of my big series is Cheap Eats in various places. Cheap Eats at Maui, Cheap Eats in Waikiki. I just published my Cheap Eats in Kauai video. So I like to consider myself a certified expert on Cheap Eats. And so in Maui, the food, I think, it is better than Kauai. It is more varied. So it's not cheap. There's a place called Mama's Fish House in Maui, and Mama's Fish House has been voted one of the top 100 restaurants on Yelp in all of the United States. I mean, it is an amazingly delicious restaurant. Maui also is home to true corporate Americana like Bubba Gump Shrimp, Ruth's Chris, in case you get sick of home, but I really don't think that's why you go to Hawaii. I will say that I felt the food in Maui was pretty expensive. There wasn't a lot of local cheap stuff there, or you had to go pretty far away. In Kauai now, I would describe the food as being really local. And it's either really local and cheap and takeout, or really expensive and high-end. Like if you're eating at the resorts in Kauai, you're also going to be paying a lot of money. But Kauai is really great if you like to picnic. There's a lot of food trucks, a lot of takeout poke. I will say that in Kauai, you better eat lunch by 2 p.m. or dinner by 8 p.m. When we were flying into Kauai, we got in around 9 o'clock, and the dinner options were pretty slim. I mean, at 9 o'clock, I think our options were McDonald's and Pizza Hut. We got right into a pho place right before they closed. And the pho was quite delicious and cheap, but I found that the hours, there weren't a lot of those midday hours. So in Kauai, you really need to plan your meals because Kauai does not have as many options as Maui does. Particularly if you're going to the North Shore or you're going to the Nepali coast, as you get out of the populated areas, again, it's rural and rugged, so Kauai, you'll probably be doing a lot of packing your lunch. SoCal Seth says Puka Dog, faux shizzle. Puka Dog, super famous place. Anthony Bourdain was there. The Food Channel was there. It's in my Kauai Cheap Eats video. If you haven't seen that one, there's a link in one of the cards to my Kauai travel series. And Puka Dog, they sell these hot dogs that they put in this like hollowed out bun. You get a different spice level, a different kind of tropical sauce. It was pretty good, but it was also expensive. It was like $8 for that hot dog. So, let's see. Kohana Ohana says, the kitchen on Maui is good and a decent price. I agree with you. That is one of the ones that is in my Maui Cheap Eats video. I really enjoyed the kitchen. And Kohana Ohana, which I'll remind those of you who just joined us from Kauai, says we have half the population as Maui, so not much choices. That is true. But I will say, it's not that the things I had in Kauai weren't good. I just felt I had to hunt a lot more to find good options. Rogue Trader US says Hawaiian pulled pork served in a banana leaf from a roadside van on the road to Hana was our best meal on Maui. That sounds pretty good. Vapin Jason asks, how are you able to afford all of these amazing trips? That's a great question, and I have a video all about how to travel cheap and comfortably. A lot of frequent flyer miles, frequent flyer points, credit card spend to get that for me. SoCal Seth comments and says, I paid $9 for a gallon of milk on Oahu, so $8 for a hot dog is not so bad. That is true. And that is one thing that when I started my Kauai video, and sometimes I get flamed for this in my Hawaii videos in general for cheap eats, people go and say, this is not cheap. What are you talking about? And I will say, almost all the food on Hawaii is more expensive because a lot of it has to fly there. On Facebook, Claire Lowe says, is that a Hawaii shirt? Yes, this is a Hawaii shirt. And by the way, the interesting thing about these shirts is in the mainland, we'll often refer to them as Hawaiian shirts. But in Hawaii, they're not Hawaiian shirts, they are aloha shirts. So this is my aloha wear for the evening. I thought it was appropriate for the live stream. And Kohana Ohana says, you gotta shop at Costco while here. That is a good news about Kauai and both Maui. They both have one Costco right by the airport. Some of the cheapest food on the island. Great place to buy aloha wear on the islands as well. Kohana Ohana says, Kaloa Fish Market near Puipu is hard to beat. Best cheap and good fish plates. Brandon Torres says this food talk is making him hungry. And then Colin Cohen says he was hoping to catch up with me in LA, but missed me by one day. Wonders if I'm heading off to Singapore anytime soon. I don't know if I'll be in Singapore anytime soon. I usually go to Singapore at the end of the year as I need more miles because the flights out there are cheap. So ask me again later. I sound like the Magic 8 Ball. All right, the third area that I'm going to talk about Maui and Kauai is about nightlife. Let's talk about nightlife. So, if you like nightlife, Maui is definitely the place for you over Kauai. In Maui, most of the nightlife is in Lahaina. Lahaina is near a lot of the resorts in Ka'anapali Beach. In Wailea, the nightlife there would be at the resorts, things like the Andaz or the Grand Wailea. There's also shopping malls that are generally open till maybe 9 o'clock at night in Maui. So there are some things to do, though not nearly as much as Oahu. But we're not talking about Oahu in this video. We're talking about Maui and Kauai. So now let's go on to Kauai. And I think the best thing was that I was going to say in Kauai there is none. And Kohana Ohana just said that. Nightlife hot, we have none. But actually I have one nightlife thing in Kauai, and that is the movie theater. There is one movie theater, well maybe there's two, but there's a fourplex movie theater in the Kukui Grove Shopping Center. Or if you're in Poipu on the south shore of Kauai, there's the Luau at the Hyatt 2 nights a week. But for the most part, the island pretty much shuts down. I mean, once it got dark, we were eating dinner and going back to the hotel because there was like nothing else to do in Kauai. But if you are looking for a place that's a relaxing vacation where you don't have to worry about nightlife or staying out late, then Kauai is the place for you because you won't be tempted by any of that nightlife. Claire Lowe on Facebook says, do you think one can visit Hawaii if their beach bodies aren't ready? Claire, I think anybody can visit Hawaii. And by beach bodies, if you mean like tanned or fit, I mean, I think it's all good. People come to Hawaii from lots of different places, and so I think everything's all good in Hawaii. And my beach body is really, really not fit. Kohana Ohana says, Kalamaku show is a great show, like no other luau show. Is that the one at the Hyatt, or is that a different luau? Okay, number 4. The fourth area we're going to talk about Maui or Kauai is in hotels. And so the hotels in Maui, there's basically 2 main hotel areas. There's Wailea in the south, and then Ka'anapali on the west. And Ka'anapali has big high-rise hotels. There's like the Hyatt Maui there. It's, 14 stories, 3 different towers. There's the big Marriott, the big Sheraton, the big Westin. That part of Maui, I'd say they're very 1970s, 1980s hotels. Big skyscrapers as big as they could be, and not much charm. On the south side of Maui in Wailea, they're much more resorts, and by that I mean a little bit more palatial, a little bit more landscaped. I'm going to give Maui the +1 on this one because my favorite hotel almost anywhere is the Andaz in Maui. I love the Andaz in Maui. If you are going to Maui and you're not staying at the Andaz, you should. It's kind of expensive. It can be upwards of $400 a night, but it was a fantastic hotel. The kind of hotel where they provide sunscreen, they provide water, they provide beach chairs, they provide beach activities, they provide boogie board rentals, and it's all for free. Whereas when I've stayed at some other hotels, like the Hyatt in Kauai, which we're going to get to in a second, if you want to sit in one of the chairs by the pool, that's free. But if you want to sit in one of the chairs by the beach, then they're going to charge you for that. The Hilton Hawaiian Village is one that I particularly hate about that. And I know we're talking about Waikiki again, but the Hilton Hawaiian Village is one that like nickel and dimes you for like every single thing. Kohana Ohana says, my dream hotel is to stay at the Grand Wailea. The Grand Wailea is pretty amazing, and it is part of the Hilton chain. It's one of the most amazing hotels ever. I mean, they spent like gazillions of dollars, this hotel. It's got its own man-made waterfalls. It has a like an in-water elevator, like bars underneath waterfalls. It's an amazing property. So let's talk about Kauai now. Kauai hotels a lot smaller. Kauai has a regulation that no building may be taller than a palm tree. And so, because no building may be taller than a palm tree, that sort of leads all the hotels to be smaller and diminutive in size. Actually, there's one hotel that is taller than a palm tree. It's the Marriott in Kauai. And the Marriott in Kauai, it is like this huge pink building that is super ugly, in my opinion. I think it must have like that building must have been built, and then the residents of Kauai were like, no more, we're not gonna have that again. So all the hotels are small. Even the Hyatt that we stayed at, like it was, I'd call it 4 stories. They call it 6, but there's like 2 stories that are underground. The 2 best hotels in Kauai is the Hyatt and the St. Regis. The Hyatt's on the south shore. The St. Regis is on the north shore. And yes, Kohana Ohana does say that the Marriott was built before the law, and I would imagine that is the ISAW that caused the law. So Kauai also has a lot more kind of like medium of the road hotels, like a Hilton Garden Inn and a Courtyard, though I think a lot of people who go to Kauai, who go there often, visit, I don't know if I want to say Airbnbs, but like rent condos. There's a lot of condominium rentals, timeshares, things like that, and so that's a good option as well. Brandon Torres says, those hotels sound amazing. They are pretty amazing. Liesel, and sorry if I pronounced your name wrong, Liesel, says, the Andaz on Maui was one of the best hotels I've stayed at. It is, I think, one of the best hotels anywhere. So, The cake for this one's going to go to Maui because the hotels are better and they're closer to the beach on swimmable beaches. Okay, I'm going to drink before I go on to number 5. Okay, the fifth area that we're going to compare between Maui and Kauai is about driving. If you're going to either Maui or Kauai, you need a rental car. You need a rental car. I get this question a lot about Maui because I have videos on YouTube for longer on Maui. The Kauai video just going up. I'm sure I'm going to get the questions. Is there any public transportation? Can I take public transportation? No. Get a rental car. In Oahu, it's a whole different story, but both on Maui and Kauai, you need a rental car. And so we'll talk about Maui first, and then we'll talk about Kauai. In Maui, you can drive around the whole island. And Maui kind of has 2 main round features with 2 mountains. The airport's in the middle. You can drive around kind of the south part, and you can drive around the north part. The south part in Maui, it's one of the most famous drives in all of Hawaii, and it is called the Road to Hana. It is famous. It is famous because the road hugs the coast. You see scenic waterfalls, scenic overlooks, and not just on that road, but the road that's on the north part of Maui, very similar, hugs the coast, just amazing dramatic views. And so if you like driving, it is beautiful. Kohana Ohana does say the west side of Maui is dangerous to drive around. And it was narrow, but I will say I actually liked driving around the west side of Maui better than the road to Hana because I found there were less cars on the west side of Maui. Just my opinion, but that was me. Brandon Torres asked when am I drinking tea or water? And in this cup I have tea, and in this glass I have water. I drink a lot, particularly when I'm talking for like an hour. All right. The things I won't do to keep you all entertained and informed. All right, so, back on Maui, like the drives there are some of the most beautiful scenic in the world, waterfalls, beaches at every turn, and so it's really cool to like get out and explore. There's black and red sand beaches, and I would say Maui is overall more accessible, more of the attractions you can just drive right up to and find. They're more, I don't know if I want to say well-signed because they're not completely signed. It's pretty easy to drive around. The con about driving in Maui, though, is that there's traffic. Like, there's traffic in Maui. One time we were going from the south side of the island to the west side of the island. It should be like a 30-minute drive, but it took us an hour and a half because there was an accident and a lot of traffic. Kauai has a little bit of traffic. They call it traffic, but I never really sat in a traffic jam, so that was pretty nice. Also, Maui, because it is more touristy, has a lot more pay parking. You have to pay to park at the hotels. You have to pay to park at the shopping mall. That really gets kind of old. What was really nice in Kauai, there was no pay parking anywhere. Like, I never had to pay for parking. Parking was just free in Kauai. Even at the Hyatt Hotel, like any hotel you go to, there's free parking. The St. Regis Hotel, like if you want to go to the beach at the St. Regis Hotel in Kauai, you could like valet park your car for free at the hotel. Again, I think that is pretty unheard of. Back on Kauai, one of the things I found interesting, when I picked up my rental car, I guess because Kauai is really rural and rugged and there's a lot of dirt roads, the cars have a lot of like dings and dents and scratches, and they gave me this card that had different holes in it, and depending upon the size of the hole, said like, if you have a dent in the car and it is smaller than this, then don't worry about it. It's not a big deal. Or if you have a scratch on the car and it's smaller than this, then don't worry about it. I found that really interesting. So Kauai has a lot of bumpy roads. I think it is good to rent a SUV if you're going on some of those. You don't have to. And if you want to go off-road, then you need to reserve a special car just for going off-road, because they technically don't allow off-road use because it damages the cars quite a bit. David M. says, no In-N-Out. Well, I just don't have an In-N-Out cup, but that very well may be where that iced tea is from. Kohana Ohana says, Maui has more to offer, but more people. That is very true. Those beaches are going to have more people. The parking lots are going to have more people. And Kohana Ohana says rental cars in Kauai are crazy expensive during certain times, up to $150 a day. And so the tip I would give you is if you're going to Kauai or Maui or any Hawaiian Island and you're a Costco member, rent your car from Costco Travel. Costco has some super great deals on rental cars, particularly in Kauai. I've found them to be almost 50% cheaper than the rates I find published online. David M. says he had a Jeep Wrangler on Kauai that he wasn't supposed to take off payment, and then he's laughing out loud after that because, you know, how are they going to know? I guess they'll know if you, like, make it filthy and destroy it, so just be careful if you're going off-road. Claire Lowe on Facebook asks, may I ask what keeps you motivated to share your traveling experience? Maybe sometimes viewers are rude and just want to take advantage of you. Claire, that's a great question, and a lot of times people who leave comments, they are rude, and I just try to remind myself to not feed the trolls. And thankfully, most of you that watch these live streams, actually, all of you today, none of you are trolls, all of you are great, kind people, and so what actually motivates me to share my travels are the fact that people like you watch these streams, and I love the positive comments that I get back from people, particularly when people say things like, Chris, I went to this because of you, or I stayed at the Andaz because of you, and it was awesome, and so those are the things that I love to hear, and that's what keeps me going, and it also keeps me going sometimes when people in the comments, like, beat down other people that, you know, are leaving negative comments, so you can keep them down. Carol Evans comments and says, for a nice budget hotel, we stayed at the Marriott Coconut in Lahui. It was really nice for $100 a night. Carol, is that the Marriott Coconut or the Marriott Courtyard? I would think maybe Marriott Courtyard. That might just be an autocorrection. $100 a night sounds pretty good. And Kohana Ohana suggests for rental cars to check out discounthawaiicarrental.com. And Dave's Random Toyota Trucks and Travel says, keep up the great videos. Dave's, thank you. That keeps me going. All right, let's go on to number 6. The 6th area that I'll be comparing and contrasting Maui or Kauai is about shopping. Shopping. And so we'll talk about Maui first, then we'll talk about Kauai. Maui has all the big box stores you would want. Well, I don't mean all of them, but they have like all the major big box chains. Maui has a Target, they have a Walmart, they have a Kmart, there's a Costco, there's a Whole Foods, and so what Maui has that Kauai doesn't. Kauai does not have a Target. Kauai does not have a Whole Foods. But all the big box stores in both of the islands are by the airports in both islands. Maui, there's also a big shopping mall. There's an outlet mall in Lahaina. And then there's high-end shopping in Maui in Wailea and Ka'anapali Beach. Some pretty ritzy upscale shopping malls. And then like souvenir shopping is in like Lahaina in Maui. In Kauai, I mentioned there's also the big box stores by the airport, and there's like, I would say one big shopping center in Kauai, if you could call it a big shopping center. It's called Kukui Grove. That's the one I mentioned earlier in the Nightlife section, and that's the one that has the movie theater. And, you know, I mean, it's more of a local shopping mall, but I will say the Macy's there had some really good Aloha shirts. And I don't think that's where I got this one, but that certainly is where actually, maybe it is where I got this one. No, that is where I got a different Hawaiian shirt from Costco. I got this Hawaiian shirt from Macy's in Kauai. It was a good price. It was like $25. So if you're in Kauai, check out that Macy's for some pretty good Aloha shirts. Kohana Ohana says Maui wins hands down for shopping. Titus Niguana says, thanks for the tips. We'll be going in August to Oahu. Would you give us heads up about cheap eats? Do they have the kitchen or paella fish market in Ko'olina? Titus, on Oahu, Ko'olina, big resort area there. That's where the Aulani Hotel is, some Marriott Vacation Clubs. And so that area has more expensive eats. What I would tell you is if you have a rental car, please tell me you have a rental car. Just drive 10 minutes outside of Ko'olina. There's a Zippy's. Zippy's is like this Hawaiian chain that has really good local eats like chicken katsu, rice, mac salad. There's also a Costco by that Zippy's. Also over there, there's a Foodland shopping mall. You can get like poke to take back to your hotel. So those are my suggestions. Kohana Ohana says Oahu has endless cheap eats. And so I would say you can check out my video on cheap eats in Waikiki, though that doesn't really answer your cheap eats in Oahu. That just answers cheap eats in general in Waikiki. But Ko Olina you'll be paying. And Costco. Did I mention Costco? There's a Costco out there. So get those cheap hot dogs at the Costco food court. Colin Cohen says the most memorable thing I had in Hawaii was the pineapple jam from the pineapple plantation. Colin, is that the one in Oahu, the Dole pineapple plantation? I really like the Dole pineapple whip there, which is, you can get it at Disneyland, but for some reason I think it just tastes better in Hawaii. OC Girl asks, is there Zippies in Kauai? And Kohana Ohana answered and says there's no Zippies. I know, and then OC Girl gives a frowny face. I was sad that there was no Zippies in Kauai. I think we should lobby for Zippies to come there. But Zippies only has one location in Maui, too, by the airport. Titus says they do have a car for Ko Olina and Oahu. That's excellent. Hey Bro 69 says, looking forward to going to Oahu, Maui, and Kauai. You have amazing reviews. Question, is the international market still there? The international market is not there anymore. The international market, for those of you who don't know, in Waikiki, it was this famous kind of like outdoor shopping mall that was like almost a swap meet or something like that. It's been torn down and rebuilt into an upscale shopping center. Is it better now? I don't know. It's different. It has a lot more higher end things. There's a Mitsuwa, which is a Japanese supermarket, which I really love. So, I mean, it's worthwhile to check out, but it's definitely not what it used to be. OC Girl says about Zippies that we should lobby for them to come to the mainland first before they come to Kauai. Okay, I'm in with that. There was a question back up here in the comments that I want to get to. Chris Wood, no, not Chris Wood. Jake McShane asked, have you ever been to the Big Island? If not, is there a trip there in the future? I hope so. I have not been to the Big Island. I would like to go there, though. I want to make my way through the other islands I haven't been to, so that is certainly one of them. Claire Lowe asks on Facebook, have you ever stayed in an Airbnb? I have never stayed in an Airbnb, Claire. I get that question a lot. I personally don't like Airbnb. Like, I don't like the concept of Airbnbs. I like hotels. I like places that I know are going to be open, that I know are going to be there, and I know if there's an issue, like if my bathtub doesn't work or my shower doesn't work or things like that, then there's somebody I can call to be at the front desk to just, like, fix it. Okay. SoCal Seth says they're vacation club owners in Ko Olina, and SoCal Seth is offering to answer any questions. So, Titus, you should ask SoCal Seth everything. I think he was actually just there in Ko Olina for a couple weeks. I'm not sure if he's still there or back home or still there. And Kohana Ohana says, I'll show you around Big Island. Let me know I go out then. Okay, I will let you know if I am going. All right, we talked about shopping. Maui wins, right? All right. Number 7, the 7th area. If I can put this in this little hand. Oh, I think the hand is full. All right, those have to go down. The 7th area is hiking. So my section on hiking doesn't have much on Maui, but I will tell you, I think one of the coolest, like the couple coolest areas to hike in Maui, around the road to Hana, there's a lot of hikes. There's the big 10,000 foot peak in Maui that I always pronounce wrong. But that 10,000 foot peak, it looks like a moon, like the moon crater that you go up. And up there, really neat hikes because you feel like you're hiking on the moon. But I think Kauai, like if you like hiking, Haleakala, right, Haleakala was the name of that peak. So thank you very much. If you like outdoor stuff, I think you really love Kauai. And I think if you like hiking, I think Kauai wins over Maui, particularly if you like hiking all by yourself through jungles, through waterfalls. Like if you're really an outdoorsy person that wants to be away from people, hike, be around nature, Kauai is the island for you. World-class trails, unreal views, rugged terrain, no handrails, no paved paths, no stairs. If you like breathtaking and dangerous, then you should go to Kauai. So, Carol Evans says, can you still hike through the I can't pronounce that. There's a valley in Maui that wants to know if you can still hike through. When I was there, it was closed too. I think there's rain damage, like both times I was there, so I'm hoping that they're reopening it. Carol Evans says in Kauai, Wailua Falls was amazing. Wailua is a really big waterfall that's there, and so that's pretty neat. That is a neat part about Kauai is you can get close up to waterfalls, and I'm going to talk about that in my attractions section. So, again, if you like hiking, Kauai wins. Also, there was a neat, what I like, so, you know, I said in the beach section that I like beaches that were like right in front of my hotel. I also like hiking that's right in front of my hotel. And that was something, again, Kauai had Maui beat because when we stayed at the Hyatt in Kauai, there was this really great hiking trail just right out from the hotel. Like you go out from the hotel, you turn left on the beach, and this super neat hiking path that was right along the cliffs. And it went from like beachy and resorty to like really quickly middle of nowhere feel, just like us and the rugged ocean. And of course the wind too. Carol Evans asks, is IAO pronounced EOE? That sounds pretty good. My Hawaiian is not so good. So I'm always afraid of like new words that I haven't pronounced before. Okay. Kohano Hana says, the falls used in Fantasy Island opening scene, and also said Shipwrecks Rock is what I'm talking about. That is, in fact, the beach that I'm talking about with that neat hike that I think Justin Bieber famously jumped off. All right. Number 8. The 8th thing between Maui and Kauai is adventure. Adventure. And so here I'm just going to talk about different adventure areas, because a lot of people like adventure travel. And so we'll start with boat tours. These are kind of adventuresome things. So if you like boat tours, but you like boat tours that are relaxing, then you'll like Maui. I think they're more exciting in Kauai, particularly the boat tours to the Napali coast. The Napali coast is the rugged, undeveloped coast of Kauai. In the winter will probably make you seasick because of the big waves, but in the summer, really beautiful. Summer, when we were there, we couldn't go because the waves were too big, but people that have told me they've been there and been on those boat trips, they've said that was one of their favorite things about Kauai. Helicopter tours, I think Kauai wins hands down. Everybody who's been on the helicopter tours in Kauai says they love it. They're expensive, but if you like helicopters and you like loud and you like adventure, then do it. For me, I like to keep my feet on the ground, but that's just me, unless I'm in a good airplane. Kayak, I think Kauai has an edge over Maui in that Kauai has these like rivers that you can kayak through. The river in Kauai, they advertise as like the Hawaii's only navigable river. They have boat tours that run through the river. Snorkeling, Maui wins over Kauai. Whale watching, Maui wins over Kauai. But there's a really, I think Kauai, one thing that I'd like to do if I go back again, there's like this inner tubing thing that you can like inner tube through these disused irrigation ditches. They were like irrigation ditches for like farmers, but now they start at the top. And I think that would just be super awesome. Like that looks like a lot of fun. So I think if you like adventure, then Kauai is the island for you. And Kohano Hana, I don't know if I said this before, but Kohano Hana says it's a tie for adventure for both. Both are fun and exciting. Said tunnel tubing, not very exciting, but pretty. Okay, pretty looks good. Carol Evans says, how can I get a job like yours? I love to travel, speak Spanish. I've been to 6 of the Hawaiian Islands and like them all for different reasons. I'd travel more if I could afford it. Well, Carol, credit card points, let me tell you, sign-ups, things like that. You can travel and not have to make a ton of money. And a lot of these things, it's not my job sending me there. Certainly, I was not going to Kauai for work. It was for fun. And then, of course, I do these videos, right? Harrison Ford says, Kohano Hana says, Harrison Ford jumps off Shipwreck Rock 6 days, 7 nights in the movie. And then Jurassic Park, the original movie, was filmed in Kauai. So yes, it is definitely the Jurassic Island. All right, number 9. The 9th difference, I'll talk about our big attractions. So I tried to think about this, and originally I thought Maui was going to win on big attractions, but then I thought about it, and I'm like, actually, neither island has a lot of big attractions. I mean, Oahu has a lot of big attractions. Like there's things like when you think about going to Oahu, you're like, oh, I need to go to Waikiki. I need to go to the North Shore where the Bonsai Pipeline is. I need to go to the Polynesian Cultural Center. I mean, there are just things, or you need to go to Pearl Harbor, or I need to go to the Diamond Head hike. They're just these Oahu must-do things. But neither Maui or Kauai really, in my mind, have like must-do things. But the must-do things they do have in Maui is the Haleakala Mountain Observatory and Crater. That's this 10,000-foot large dormant volcano that takes up 40% of the island. I think that's one of the coolest things to do there. It takes a good half of the day because you have to drive up, and it takes a couple hours to drive up because the speed limit's slow and the roads are really windy. Super popular to go up there for sunrise or sunset. Me personally, I don't like driving on windy mountain roads at night, so we went up midday, but it was still super awesome. You can drive, hike, you can also bike down the volcano. That's kind of fun. If you are going for sunrise, make a reservation there because the parking lot's small and you have to make reservations ahead of time. Otherwise, they're going to turn you away, and it would kind of be lousy to drive 2 hours, see a sunset, and then just get turned away at the gate. Another big attraction, Maui. There's a big blowhole in Maui, and it was a really neat blowhole. It blows really tall. Also, Lahaina. Lahaina is a neighborhood in Maui. It's the old whalers town. It's kind of this neat souvenir street. And then there's this 150-year-old banyan tree. The big banyan tree. And so it's funny that like a 150-year-old banyan tree is an attraction. But these are kind of the size. I mean, it's big. It's literally big. All right, so now let's talk about big attractions in Kauai. As Kohana Ohana said, the biggest attraction in Kauai, those of you who watch my travel guide got this joke, is literally Waimea Canyon. It's been called the Grand Canyon of the Pacific. It's the biggest because it's huge, and it's like the one that you really have to go to. It's neat, it's scenic, you can see the canyon from there, and if you drive all the way to the top to the Solar Observatory, then you can see off the backside of the island to the Napali coast, which is the undeveloped coast. Again, think Jurassic Park. It's great for boating, kayaking, hiking. Kauai is also better for waterfalls. There are waterfalls in Maui. Like if you drive the road to Hana, there's all these guides about like go see these different waterfalls. But I thought the waterfalls in Kauai were more impressive. And actually related to accessible, even though I said Maui is more accessible, the waterfalls are more accessible in Kauai. You can like drive right up to these waterfalls in Kauai. I haven't been to many drive-up waterfalls, so those are cool. And then Kauai has a very interesting blowhole. It has a blowhole that makes the sound of a giant lizard, or that's what they say. It kind of makes this like gasping air sound, which is pretty cool. Carol Evans says, I'd love to see the big show Ula Lena in Maui. Carol, where is that show? Is that like at a hotel or standalone show? I'm not familiar with that one. Haleakala. Yeah, see, my Hawaiian's awful. SoCal Seth is trying to help me out. Landscaper Ben says, Chris, I have to get myself to Hawaii. I just remembered you were doing your live stream. Well, Ben, thank you for joining. And where you had to get yourself was to the live stream, not to Hawaii. This is the place to be right now. Or you could watch from Hawaii. Totally cool. Start getting the Hawaiian shirts, or should I say the Aloha shirts now, and be prepared for your trip. Carol Evans says the whale watching tour from Lahaina was amazing. Hey, that's great, Carol. Did you actually see some whales? You know, the funny thing about being from San Diego, they do whale watching tours out here, but I don't think they're quite as amazing as the whale watching tours in Hawaii. I always joke that whale watching in San Diego is the equivalent of ocean staring. Because that's what you're doing most of the time in San Diego, because we don't have nearly as many whales. And then, you know, there's a lot of these tours that'll say, money back guarantee. If you don't see a whale, you know, well, no, money back. But if you don't see a whale, we'll give you another boat ride for free. And at some point you go and say, look, if I spent 3 hours staring at the ocean, I'm not sure that I want to spend another 3 hours staring at the ocean if there are no whales. LG says, what is the best way to island hop? I want to take the hubby to Pearl Harbor from Kauai. LG, there is only one way to island hop, and that is to take a plane. There are no other ways to get between the islands. There was ferry service that was running between some of the islands, but the ferry service has long been shut down, so you have to fly. Hawaiian Airlines is kind of the main carrier for the flights between the different islands. Southwest has announced they're going to start service there, but they haven't yet. The inner island flights are usually something $80, $100 each way. Just watch out because Hawaiian Airlines charges like really exorbitant luggage fees, so be careful of that. But I think the flight from Kauai to Oahu is like 15 minutes or something. I mean, it's a really short flight. Blake Dela Cruz says, I'm going to Maui soon. What's an affordable place to stay? Blake, the most affordable places to stay in Maui are by the airport. If you're staying by the airport, those are the cheapest places. I think also if you were if you wanted to stay in the south by Wailea, there's like a Residence Inn that's like not right on the beach. That might be a reasonable place to stay. So those would be my couple suggestions for if you're really looking for cheap places to stay. But Kohana Ohana says Maui hotel prices are shocking. And the oceanfront hotels in Maui, they're all super expensive. The Andaz Hotel in Maui is my favorite. It is not cheap, $400 or $500 a night, but it's awesome. Okay. Landscaper Ben says he doesn't need to buy any Hawaiian shirts because he already has a ton. He says he'll see me in May. I'll see you in May, Ben. You gonna bring some of your Aloha shirts? San Diego's a pretty appropriate Aloha shirt destination. Carol answered my question about whales. Carol says that they counted about 100 whales, or at least a fin, a tail, and a few breaches. One swam right alongside our boat. That's super cool. I've never been on the whale watching tour, but one of the things I love about going to Maui and Kauai are seeing the hanu, which are the sea turtles, the green sea turtles. I find them pretty cute, particularly if they're in the water. Hi bro 69 says, I know this about Kauai and Maui, but on Oahu, where's the best place to buy Hawaiian shirts? Costco. I think Costco is the best place to buy Hawaiian shirts. That's my opinion, because I think that's one of the cheapest places. Carol says, in January 2017, we took a ferry from Lahaina to Lanai. And yes, Carol, there are ferries that go from Maui to a couple of the islands that are off from Maui, but not from the major islands together. But thank you for that correction. Kohana Ohana says the flight's 30 minutes. Okay, well, I think it's timed at 30 minutes, but I think the flight time is even shorter. OC Girl says, this is hence why people who live in Hawaii don't often visit other islands. Yeah, because if you meet someone from Hawaii, you'll be like, hey, what do you think about this other island? And chances are, there are people that have grown up on Oahu and have never left because they got to get on a plane to get there. And if they're going to get on a plane to get there, then they might as well just come to the mainland, right? Yes, Kohana Ohana says the best place, and I should remember this, the best place to get Aloha shirts in Hawaii is at the swap meet at Aloha Stadium. So check that out in Oahu for Aloha shirts. Landscaper Ben says, since I challenged him to Aloha shirts, he's going to bring his fair share of shirts, and he says he loves mine. Well, thank you very much. You can touch it when you come for only $1. Titus says, I was in Maui last year and I love Maui. I was able to get cheap activities tickets. Do they have those in Ko'olina? You mean like the ticket booths or something? Ko'olina, I don't think it really has anything like that. Probably the closest you're going to get to those sorts of things is in Waikiki. They'd have more of like the people that sell activities tickets and things like that. And I think you're going to find Ko'olina to be more overpriced if you're buying things there. All right, I'm going to go on to the last one, number 10. This is just a conclusion. So the conclusion is, if you are looking for an island with broad appeal and accessibility, it's Maui. If you're looking for an island with adventure and alone time, it's Kauai. So, which one are you? Broad appeal, accessibility, sandy beaches, swimming, Maui. Is it hiking, adventure time, danger? Then it's going to be Kauai. And maybe saving a little bit of money. Maui might be a little more, Kauai might be a little bit less. And one of the things that I also find interesting is sometimes people don't like to go to touristy destinations, and they think it's cooler to go to some place that is less touristy, more off the beaten path. And so if that's you, then Kauai is definitely going to be the less touristy destination. All right, so I will take final questions at this point, and then I'm going to go ahead and go into the final wrap-up. Carol Evans commented and says, I love Aloha Stadium. I buy Hawaiian print dresses there and wear them all year long in Michigan. Yeah, I think that Hawaiian wear, it absolutely is all year attire. You know, you don't just have to wear it in the summer. Particularly, of course, me in San Diego, I mean, you know, I've got shorts on, like I'm like one of those, you know, broadcasters that, newscasters or something that'll be wearing like a suit and have shorts on the bottom. I love my shorts. I wear shorts and short sleeves all the time. You know, when I'm not wearing a yellow t-shirt or my Aloha shirt, I am also typically wearing an In-N-Out Burger t-shirt because I love In-N-Out Burger so much. I have so many of their shirts. Kohana Ohana says a good assessment to my summary, so thank you, Kohana Ohana. I appreciate that. Landscaper Ben says, if you're looking for any second-hand Hawaiian shirts, then to hook Ben up. I guess maybe he's selling his many Hawaiian shirts. Blake Dela Cruz says, what's the best stops in the road to Hana? Planning to have the whole day for it. Blake, so the first thing I'd suggest to you is to get the, oh gosh, there's like these blue guidebooks. I don't know if it's called like Hawaii Undiscovered, Hawaii Discovered. I can't exactly remember, but if you look for guidebooks, they've got them on Hawaii, Maui, Kauai. They're blue, and they have a whole guide about the road to Hana. I think the coolest stop is called the Twin Falls. There are these two waterfalls that are right at the beginning of the road to Hana. That's the one that like everybody stops at. I will tell you my two tips I have for you on the road to Hana. One, don't show valuables in your car because there's actually been a lot of car break-ins on the road to Hana. And two, bring a paper map. Don't expect your cell phone to work. It will not work. There's no cell phone service on the road to Hana. And so there's been so many people that I've seen on the road to Hana standing there trying to figure out their next stop and trying to find something from their cell phone that they just can't get to. And so then they're lost. So make sure you have a printed map. Kohana Ohana says, off topic, have you ever been to Kusatsu in Japan? I have never been to Kusatsu in Japan. Kohana Ohana, what part of Japan is that in? Carol Evans asked, have I gone to Lanai? No, I have not. But Carol says they've stayed at the hotel on the mountain and it was kind of boring. Yeah, I sort of looked at going over there and it just seemed like it was a haze to get there. I think it's, Carol, is it like a Sheraton that's out there? I mean, it's like, I think there's like 2 hotels that are on that island. So I'm curious. Kohana Ohana says, the biggest tip for Kauai is don't come December to March. It can rain a lot. And there's big surf and it can rain tons. It can be great, but rolling dice. And so I will say, what month is this? This is February. I was there in January, and to that point, the weather forecast when we left to go to Kauai, it literally said like rain every day. I was convinced that we were going into like a deluge of rain, and I think it rained every day on the island someplace. But when we were staying at the South Shore by the Hyatt, it was actually pretty sunny on the South Shore. When we got to the North Shore, then it was like overcast and raining and things like that. So the rain did not rain on our parade too much. We just made sure to have an umbrella and occasionally duck into places to avoid showers. One of the videos I have coming out in 2 weeks, this coming week, I have the best beaches of Kauai. In 2 weeks, I have 9 things to know before you go to Kauai. It rained on me during the video, and so if you watch that one, my hair is going to be all wet and matted down because I kind of got stuck in a downpour. OC Girl asks, Lanai is the island with no traffic lights, right? Carol, you tell us. You were in Lanai. Does it have any traffic lights? Titus says, our 5-year-old daughter follows all the videos. She is wondering, where is Tofa today? Titus, that's a good question. Tofa, or as I spell it, Topher, T-O-P-H-E-R, because T-O-P-H-E-R plus Chris Topher equals Christopher, which is my full name. Topher, he is resting today. He's very tired. These live streams take a lot out of Topher. Still resting from his Kyushu vacation that we just came back from. So I was in Kauai in December, and then Kyushu in January. So we've been traveling quite a bit, so Topher's gotta get up his beauty rest at this time. Ben asked, does Topher have a Hawaiian shirt? We do not have a Hawaiian shirt for Topher, though we do have a little lei for him, because he likes to hula. All right, Rudy says, what's up, man? What's up, Rudy? Thanks for joining. We're going to be wrapping up shortly, but I'm glad you're here. Claire says, do you know why people in Hawaii call their shoes slippers instead of flip-flops? That is a great question, and I don't know why they call them slippers, but they in fact do call them slippers. And that was one of those language things that took me a little while to get, but when you get used to it, and OC Girl used to tell me that all the time about like, oh, you know, slippers, this and that. I'm like, why are we talking about slippers in Hawaii? You know, again, a balcony. What do you mean that's a lanai? I love how Hawaii has all these different words for things. But frankly, it's just like going to Australia, and you know, I had that that interaction. Ben says, yeah, they don't call them slippers, they call them thongs, right? Because they got a little, you know, thong that you put through your toes. I mean, I guess that makes sense. Carol answered the question about Lanai. Lanai has an expensive Four Seasons, $1,400 per night on the beach, and the less expensive hotel at the top of the mountain was $200 per night. I could see why you would stay at the hotel at the top of the mountain. $1,400 a night is definitely out of my price range. Jake asked if I visited the Fern Grotto. That was one we did not get to visit. Jake, did you visit the Fern Grotto? I think the Fern Grotto you have to kayak or take a boat tour to or something. And I guess the slightly rainy weather did get to us on that one. Kohana Ohana says it's great. Kayak to it and hike to the falls. And OC Girl says I didn't believe her when she called them slippers. And she's right. I didn't. Jennifer says, can we expect some Hawaii videos from your latest trip soon? Jennifer, there are 2 out already. Best Cheap Eats Kauai came out last Friday. Kauai Travel Guide came out 2 Fridays ago. Next Friday is Best Beaches in Kauai. And then after that is 9 Things to Know Before You Go to Kauai. So yes. And then I've got a random like 2 minutes of fire dancing from the luau that's going to come out this Wednesday. So expect those videos soon. Zillaby said, since the chance of rain in Kauai in December, how about Wailea instead, sunnier? Wailea is pretty sunny. And Kohana Ohana says, that's why all the resorts are in Wailea. It is true. Wailea gets something like, I don't know, 3 or 5 inches of rain per year. I mean, it rains very little in Wailea, and that's why it is a super fantastic area. So I think Wailea is good any time of year. Though if you're going to Maui, here's my one tip for you for going to the beach. Go in the morning. Maui has this weather pattern where it's often calm in the morning and windy in the afternoon. And by windy, I mean like really windy. So go to the beach in the morning in Maui. Claire says, do you see rainbows a lot in Hawaii? Yes, there are quite a bit of rainbows in Hawaii from all of the rain. Zillaby says, Christopher, thank you for your excellent videos, extremely helpful. Zillaby, thank you very much for the positive words. I appreciate it. Kohana Ohana says, Wailea, because it has no rain, it's very dry and there's no waterfalls, which is very true. That's why Kauai has so many waterfalls, because it rains all the time. Actually, Kauai, like the mountain there, has been named one of the rainiest places in the world. I think it's like 400 plus inches of rain or something. Crazy amount. And then Jennifer says, awesome, I'll check out the 2 you've posted. Thanks, Jennifer. Perfect. And it should be, I mean, you can find it on my channel under playlists, under videos, or in this video when you're done. If you check the cards, I have linked my Kauai travel playlist to the cards. And there's a couple in there, and then in my hotel review, there's the Hyatt, that's separate from the travel playlist. OC Girl says she used to see rainbows every day when she lived in Hawaii. Now she sees one in 10 years because we live in Southern California and it like never rains. Kohana Ohana says more Japan videos, please. More Japan videos are definitely coming up. After Kauai, I've got some Switzerland videos that I'm editing. We were in Switzerland in May of last year, and so I really have to edit those, otherwise they'll just be way too old to post. So you'll see Switzerland videos, and then after Switzerland videos, then Japan's gonna get back in the rotation. Claire says, do you see those long furry creatures running across the road? Ah, long furry creatures. Which long furry creatures do you mean? Landscaper Ben says, when's the next live stream, Chris? That is a great question, Ben. I am so glad you asked. The next live stream is Monday, February 12th, 2018 at 8 p.m. LA time. And the topic is going to be travel pet peeves, recommended by SoCal Seth. And a lot of the items started with some suggestions by SoCal Seth. So that is just 1 week from today, Monday, 8 p.m., same time, same bat channel. Tune on in. We are coming up at 60 minutes, and so that's, I like to honor your time and my time, all of our time, so I'll answer the last question, and then I'll say goodnight, which is, do your videos take a lot of editing time? They do take a lot of video editing time, so that's often what I do when I'm not doing these live streams. I might do them more, but I'm often spending time on weekends editing the video. So thank you, everybody, for tuning in. I'm glad you loved the topic. Thank you. Thanks for the kind words. Thanks for watching. Thanks for subscribing. And happy birthday to Ben, because it was Ben's birthday on Sunday. All right, everybody. Aloha.